Hi, we are year 1 group 3 and we'll study on Ferdinand Marcos and corruption scandal in Philippines.
Okay dah.
Ferdinand Marcos, the former president of Philippines, and during his rule from 1965 to 1986, Marcos and his associates are believed to have stolen between 5 to 10 billion, and this money came from public funds that were meant to improve the life of Filipino citizens. Corruption has long-lasting effect on system society, and this case showed that corruption doesn't end when a corrupt leader steps down.
Ferdinand Marcos was the president of the Philippines from 1965 to 1986. He stayed in power for 20 years, the longest in the country's history. Marcos was known for being clever and strict in leading the country. In 1972, he declared martial law, saying that communism and protests were a danger to the country. But he used martial law to stop his enemies and stay in power. During this time, many people were arrested, tortured, and not allowed to speak freely. The government also controlled the media and silenced anyone who criticized him. Marcos and his wife, Imelda, stole at least $5 billion from public funds. Imelda became famous for her expensive lifestyles. She owned over 3,000 pairs of shoes, jewelry, art, and other luxury items. They hid their money in Swiss banks and bought properties in places like New York, Hawaii, and California. The secrecy of Swiss banks made it hard to get the stolen money back. Marcos also gave top government jobs to his family and loyal friends, showing nepotism and abuse of power. His rule left behind deep public distrust, damage to government institutions, and a lot of stolen wealth that is still missing today.
Marcos and Imelda embraced at least $5 billion from public funds during their rule. This made their regime one of the most corrupt in history. Their lavish lifestyle, while many Filipinos live in poverty, Imelda Marcos was known for her lavish spending, owning over 3,000 pairs of shoes, as well as expensive art, jewelry, and other luxury items. Their hidden assets. Their stolen assets were hidden in Swiss and offshore bank accounts, and they own multiple properties abroad, including New York, Hawaii, and California. Their Swiss banking secrecy law made it very difficult to recover this asset, delaying justice and accountability for years. For abuse of power, Marcos filled top government positions with his family members and close loyalists, showing clear nepotism and abuse of power. For lasting legacy, deep public distrust, long-term damage to Philippine institutions, and billions in stolen wealth that remains unrecovered in this day.
Issue is abuse of power and authoritarian rules. Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law in 1972, citing the need to combat communist threat and maintain national security. However, this declaration effectively gave him absolute power, allowing him to dismantle the system of check and balance and rule in authoritarian manner without going through democratic process. Under martial law, he restricted the power of judiciary, controlled the media, and suppressed opposition political activities. Marcos also manipulated the electoral system, including illegally extending his term in office and amending the constitution to stay in power. The second issue is political repression and human rights violation. Under Ferdinand Marcos' regime, there was widespread political repression. Martial law was used as a tool to arrest and detain political opponents without trial, eliminate freedom of speech, and silence individuals of groups who oppose the government. According to Amnesty International, around 17,000 people were imprisoned, 34,000 were tortured, and 3,240 were killed without legal due process. the Filipino people live in a climate of prolonged fear, as any form of criticism against and government could be seen as a threat and responded to weak violence. The media was strictly controlled, activities were hunted down, and opposition parties were heavily suppressed. Freedom of speech, the right to assemble, and legal justice were completely dismantled.
Third, massive corruption and embezzlement. Ferdinand Marcos stole between 5 to 10 billion US dollar from public fund. He used his power to gain personal wealth, which reached up to $15 billion, while many people in the country continue to live in poverty. 4. Cronyism and economic control. Marcos gave control to the major industry like electricity and sugar to his close friends and allies. They got government contract unfairly and secretly moved to the country money to foreign bank account. Ordinary people receive no benefit for this. 5. Family luxury and public poverty. While most Filipino were poor and struggling, the Marcos family lived in the extreme luxury. Imelda Marcos became famous for owning thousands of the shoes. This unfair lifestyle angered the people and led to the People Power Revolution in 1986, which removed the Marcos from the power.
Next, economic decline and political instability. During Marcos' rule, corruption made the company weaker. Government money was stolen and used for personal gain. As a result, the country had more debt and became less stable. Many Filipinos were poor and struggling while the rich became richer. This made people angry and led to protests and unrest across the country. Next, a People Power Revolution 1986. In 1986, millions of Filipinos come together in peaceful movement called the People Power Revolution. They were tired of Marcos' corruption and abuse of power. Through unity and non-violence, the people forced Marcos to leave office, and this peaceful protest ended his long rule and helped bring back democracy to the Philippines. It became a strong symbol of how people can create change without violence. The last issue is uncovered stolen wealth. Even after the Marcos was removed, the stolen money was not fully recovered. It is estimated that billions of dollars were hidden in foreign bank accounts. The Marcos family still face legal cases to return the money, but progress has been very slow. Many of the assets remain hidden and justice has not fully been served. This shows how hard it is to fight corruption even after a leader is gone.
Reason about the factor enabling corruption under Ferdinand Marcos. First factor is political. Marcos had too much political power, so there were no effective checks and balance. For the second factor, institutional and legals. Government's institution and law were used to protect personal interests, not the people. For the third factor, social and culture. A culture of fear and obedience made it hard for people to speak up. For the fourth factor is economy. The economy was controlled by a small circle close to Marcos, so national wealth wasn't shared fairly. For the last factor is global and international. Foreign countries continue to support Marcos for their own interests, even though corruption was clear. So for the comprehensive analysis with multiple perspectives. For the first analysis, political perspective. From a political view, the authority system allow corruption to grow unchecked. For the second, social and community perspective, people live in fear with limited freedom to express their concern. For the third, economic perspective, corruption weak the economy and widen the gap between rich and poor. For the fourth international perspective, other countries fail to stop the abuse of power despite knowing about it. For the last, long-term impact and implication. The long-term impact include public distrust and weak the government institution.
The corruption scandal during Ferdinand Marcos' rule in the Philippines is a classic example of how power can be abused in a systematic way. To understand what happened, we will look at three important concepts: kleptocracy, patrimonialism, and network theory. kleptocracy. It means a type of government where leaders steal the country wealth for their own benefit. In this case, Marcos and his family were accused of taking billions of dollars from public money. They used fake companies, offshore bank accounts, and control government contracts to make themselves rich. Since Marcos also controlled the law and the courts, no one could stop him. This led to a loss of public trust and made the economy worse. Second is patrimonialism. It's when a leader treats the country like their personal property. Marcos gave important government position to his loyal friends and supporters, not to people who were actually qualified. This caused many bad decisions, more corruption and unfair treatment of honest officials. Over time, people started to feel that the system was unfair and didn't serve them anymore. This last one is network theory. A network theory explains how power is built and protected through personal and political relationships. Marcos gave power to his family members, especially his wife Imelda, and to trusted business partner. These people received special treatment like business deals and government contracts. In return, they support Marcos and help him stay in power. This made it harder for honest and qualified people to succeed and lead to more inequality in society. For conclusion, these three concepts help us understand why the corruption under Marcos was so serious. The whole system was based on loyalty and power, not fairness. It caused long-term damage to the country's democracy, economy, and public trust in the government.
Now, we move to another slide, which is critical thinking and insight. For the first point, which is limiting the terms of political office, which is if someone stay in power too long, they might abuse it. So, we should set a maximum number of years they can lead. Second point, which is strengthening the enforcement of anti-corruption laws, which is strong laws like Prevention of Corruption Act and support for whistleblowers are needed. Those found guilty must be punished fairly without favoritism. Third, enhance education and public awareness, which is people must learn from at young age, which is corruption is totally wrong. Schools, media, and campaigns can help build a culture that rejects bribery. And fourth, increasing transparency in administrative process and public fund management, which is leaders should be declare their assets openly. Using technology like e-procurement and digital system can reduce bribery and ensure clean management. And lastly, involves the community, which is encourage more active community involvement in reporting corruption case. Everyone should be able to report corruption easily and safely, whilst whistleblowers must be protected. Meanwhile, NGO, media and experts should work together to monitor abuse of power.
The corruption case of Ferdinand Marcos is a strong reminder of what can happen when power is abused and no one is held accountable. During his rule, he used his position for personal gain and weakened important institutions. Even though he was removed from power, the effect of his action are still felt today. This case showed that corruption is not just about money. It can harm a country's democracy, trust and future. To stop corruption, we all need to play a part. This includes teaching people about honesty, making law stronger, being open with information, and encouraging citizens to speak up and take action. That's all from us. Thank you.